the people in the room. So we start to my left. Commissioner Adams, please introduce yourself and your jurisdiction. Introduction.
Introduction. He was going to give you a prayer.
I'm still trying to figure out how to make my hearing aids work right. Yeah, I'm Bruce Adams from Monticello, Utah, former county commissioner and school teacher. I enjoy being here and with good friends. I think I know everybody, and thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rhonda Menlove. I represent Region 1 and live in Garden City, Utah, and delighted to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, Natalie Gochner. I represent Region 2, Summit, Salt Lake, and Tooele counties, and I live in Murray, Utah, and work at the University of Utah.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Jim Evans. I represent Region 3, and I live in Orem.
Good morning, Kevin Van Tassel, Commissioner at Large. Good to be with you.
Good morning, I'm Brad D. I live in Weber County. I'm a commissioner at large.
Thank you. And my name is Nagi Zanati from sunny but rainy today, St. George. And glad to be here. Thank you. Carlos, would you please introduce our UDOT family?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Carlos Braceras, Executive Director, Utah Department of Transportation.
Cassie Lords, Office Assistant with the Utah Department of Transportation.
Lisa, let's go there, and then Brad, we'll go back this way.
Lisa Wilson, Deputy Director for Engineering and Operations.
Board Operations, Region 3 Deputy Director. Jeff Lewis, Region 3 Planning Manager. Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. Kieran Beardon, Region 4 Deputy Director. Good morning, Bob Pellick, Shift Coordinator.
Troy.
Troy Peterson, Operations. Rob White, Region 1 Director. Josh Andura, Trails and Kansas.
Andrea Olson, UDOT Planning.
Josh Sutton, Deputy. Nathan Peterson, Region 1 Deputy. Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director. Jeff McVay, Region 2 Planning Manager.
Lisa Rebel, Deputy Director.
Ella Grady, Region 2 Director.
Grant Potter, Communications.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think that's everyone from UDOT. If you need more, we can call some folks in.
Sure. And I would like to also welcome our federal partners, Ivan Marrero, Brigitte Mendel, and do you have someone else?
Tricia Sharma is our new planner, and Tom Ronskis is our project delivery team.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. At this time, I would like to also ask Dan Johnson from the West Valley City to come. Kind of tradition that the host city or host town come and welcome us to the community.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Dan Johnson. I'm the West Valley City Public Works Director. Mayor Karen Lane was invited to me, but she unfortunately unable to be here today. She asked that I come speak on her behalf. West Valley City is the second largest city in the state of Utah, and if you're not physically sitting in West Valley City, you're in Taylorsville, but you're across the street from West Valley City, so we'll just pretend this is close enough and welcome to West Valley. We are home to 140,000 plus residents. We're relying greatly on transportation infrastructure. Last spring, here, Mayor Lanes addressed the council, the commission. There we go. Last spring, the mayor, Mayor Karen Lang addressed the Transportation Commission to express concerns about safety issues on traffic signals on Mountain View Corridor, and we're here to echo those same concerns today. The Mountain View Corridor signalized intersections remain a serious issue for the city, And the high speeds on Mountain View Corridor combined with signalized intersections and result in very serious crashes that are definitely a problem. UDOT is currently working to build freeway improvements on the southern half of Mountain View Corridor in Salt Lake County, but is prohibited from doing so in West Valley City until certain environmental commitments have been met. And we're grateful that UDOT is working towards meeting those environmental commitments so that those improvements can be made. So for the safety of all of our users of that facility, we urge continued efforts and completion towards that segment of Mountain View Corridor. Next, I'd like to speak about Bangerter Highway. The first segment of Bangerter Highway was actually called the West Valley Highway, and it was opened in 1991, was ultimately renamed in 1993 to the Bangerter Highway after West Valley City native Governor Norman Bangerter. And it's a major north-south corridor along the west side of the Salt Lake Valley. And we're definitely grateful for the improvements that have been made to Bangerter in the valley, and we look forward to that coming to West Valley City. Currently 4700 South is under construction, and we're very grateful for the cooperation we've received from UDOT as we've gotten that great facility underway, and we look forward to it opening later this year. But since its construction, the Bangerter Highway has been a major barrier between in the middle of the city, and we just look forward to the future work that will come along Bangerter Highway as that facility gets grade separated. There are many other state routes in the city that we have concerns with, but we are very grateful for the relationship we have with the folks at Region 2 as we work to deal with the various challenges that come up. So we urge our legislators and the Transportation Commission and UDOT to continue to prioritize the freeway conversion of both Mountain View Corridor and Bangerter Highway. But again, welcome to West Valley City. And we're very grateful that you're here, and we thank you for your service on this commission and for the work you do for the state of Utah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. At this time, we will invite Kendall Tracy and also the Jeff Dupay to come and present local area presentation.
Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out if I'm running it or. Where'd it go? Is that presenting to everyone? Okay. Yes, perfect. All right, thank you, Commission. Thank you for letting me be here today to talk to you more about what West Valley just kind of brought up in my presentation and talk more about this northwest area of Salt Lake County. The presentation, what I want to talk about is we're going to be focusing in on 6 cities in this area. Those cities are Salt Lake City, Magna, West Valley City, Kearns, Taylorsville, and West Jordan. As shown in this image, you can see it in the white there. These cities, like we've heard yesterday on the tour, we have 3 of the largest cities by population in the state in this area. This only accounts for less than 1% of the total land area for Utah, but is also a major area for our people. It's very urbanized, has a lot of routes going north-south, a lot of traffic, as you saw, and a lot of growth potential. Some of that potential that you saw was out here on that west side, out west of Mountain View Corridor and Bacchus Highway, along with the southwest area. These areas drive growth with that towards needing a north-south connection towards the downtown area, which you've heard from West Valley City is why there's emphasis being put on Mountain View Corridor and Bangerter Highway. I want to kind of talk about some of the things the department's been doing over the last 3 years to try to help facilitate keeping our assets in good condition, as well as improving some of those capacity issues that are in this area. Over the last 3 years, we've built 22 projects for $438 million. If you look at that map, that's been spread out over the area. You can see the gray areas that are shaded. Those are those projects that have happened. They haven't just been capacity projects, but they've been all different types of projects. We've had safety, pavement preservation, We've had capacity projects and trying to take care of structures or bridges in the area. That's one of the projects I want to highlight to you is the one in blue you'll see there, the I-80 near airport entrance bridge preservation project that we just completed this past year. This project is actually one that was really important to me because I was receiving quite a few click and fixes as a region about some of the challenges that our residents have driving through the section. It's also the gateway to our state. When coming out of the airport and coming into Salt Lake, you're passing over all of these bridges that were in a bit of a rough condition at the time. So the project, what it did was repaired 19 structures where those structures had pothole patching, overlay treatments, and joint sealing that occurred on them. This was completed, like I said, last year for $9.6 million. And the intent of this was to improve the ride and improve our asset life. Here's some pictures of what happened with these projects. On the left, you'll see before the repairs, you'll see a lot of black streaks across that structure. That's all the attempts of maintenance, trying to go in and preserve that asset for as long as we could before this project came through. On the next picture over, you'll see pothole patching. So that's after we've removed that asphalt layer over the top of the structure. They go in and sound the deck of the structure or the bridge and find those areas that need to be removed and replaced. And so you can kind of see how it's all over. It's sporadic, those issues that are happening on that structure. So once they've done that, put the concrete back, that's when we get to put that nice new ride, that asphalt, that final surface over the top of that. So this was done on 19 structures. Like I say, now the complaints have stopped. We have a nice gateway to our city and to our state. We're very happy with this project and grateful for the commission in funding this type of project to continue maintaining our assets that we have. Next, I kind of want to talk about what's the future hold for us. What are we trying to do in this area of the state? What are we trying to help the people? And you've heard, again, the stress of needing more north-south connections. And so in the next 3 years, you can see all the gray areas inside of here. We're going to have 37 projects with a project value of $1.5 billion being spent and invested in this area to improve our network. Those, again, vary between rehabilitation projects, bridges, safety, active transportation, and large capacity projects. The one that I want to highlight to you is one of the large capacity projects that are going to be happening. That project is Bangerter Highway interchanges from 41st South to Parkway Boulevard. So this is the next segment of Bangerter. So yesterday on the tour, we got to see 47th under construction right now. This is that continuation northward of creating that interchange style grade separation. That would be at 41st, 35th, 31st, and Parkway Boulevard. This does have the environmental complete, and they're starting to procure right-of-way for this project as we start getting ready for design and construction in 2027. The importance of this project, as you kind of heard from West Valley City, is right now Bangerter Highway can be somewhat of a stop to their east-west connections because of the priority that gets put on to Bangerter Highway. So with being able to separate these facilities, we're going to not only just improve traffic and safety along Bangerter Highway, but we'll also improve the east-west connection because now more time can be given to those travelers going east-west as mobility is also going north-south. Once this is completed, this would complete a connection all the way from Parkway Boulevard down to I-15, creating a freeway from that point at free flow. But that is just part of the process. There's still more to go in the Bangerter highways. That's just getting us to Parkway. That's not finishing the whole stretch. So I kind of want to talk about some of the constraints that we have in this area that makes it a bit challenging on the network. If you look at this map, we have some grayed out areas. These grayed out areas are the Salt Lake International Airport, Rio Tinto, Airport Number 2, Northrop Grumman Innovation Systems. There's various railroad crossings and canal crossings. All these places, if you look at this part of West Jordan, you can see a really good grid system. But when you look at these grayed out areas, they put a lot of hindrance on that local network or that grid system, which then puts more constraints on the state routes that are in that area to get around them. There isn't that local network to be able to help people have other choices, other ways to get around. So this just puts more pressure on needing that north-south connections of Mountain View Corridor and Bangerter Highway to be able to get around these constraints that are unique to this area. So that is why our future unfunded transportation needs that are important for the department and Region 2 are looking at finishing up the Bangerter interchanges. So this would be finishing from 24 South to California Avenue, which would then make Bangerter Highway a complete ring route like 215, where you'd be going from the airport all the way down to I-15 near 123rd South, or Bangerter Highway connects in down that southern end as a complete freeway system. Like I said, this environmental document has already been complete as well for this location. It was done at the exact same time. We're just waiting for the funding and the future to be able to move on and continue that effort of being able to complete the north-south connection for Bangerter Highway. This project is valued at $700 million right now to be able to complete this. Another thing that we talked about yesterday on the tour was 5600 West and the completion of an enhanced bus system along this roadway as part of the Mountain View Corridor environmental commitments for being able to do the interchange style grade separation from 90th South up to 35th South. So we're excited that this project is moving forward and getting ready to be able to hopefully be in operation in 2027 as currently planned. But that is where the next leads into the needs that we have, which is starting to look at Mountain View Corridor. As you heard from West Valley City, this is a big concern of theirs, is being able to remove those signals and to start grade separating or creating that freeway style interchanges. This would be a project to be, there's 6 interchanges that are left to be able to be converted with this project. That's a need for us in the future. Right now we have a project value between $600 million to $1 billion estimated for being able to do those 6 interchanges and the conversion along Mountain View. Like I said before, West Valley and us see this as a great opportunity to improve safety along the corridor by separating those east-west movements from the north-south and allowing free flow for traffic and creating a second ring route besides Bangerter Highway and I-15. As you can tell, the importance of us is trying to find alternatives to I-15. Yesterday was a great example of when something happens on I-15, there isn't a lot of great routes to go to get around that. There's no alternative options that can carry that amount of traffic. And so the importance of completing Bangerter Highway and Mountain View Corridor just become that more important to us as a region to be able to help with that mobility. So with that, this is what we have planned over the next future needs that we're kind of pushing as a region as our importance. But I also want to kind of let Jeff talk to you guys about what are we doing for planning studies? What are those future things that we'd like to accomplish? So I'll turn the time over to Jeff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Dupay, Region 2 Planner. So as part of our tour, we talked about the Northwest Quadrant. We had the Inland Port representatives speak to us about this area. And as Kendall had mentioned, there are additional connections that are somewhat competing with each other in the same area. You've got the geographical and topographical constraints with the tailings pond on the west. We also have a lot of rail that is in this same area with the interstate. And so there are a lot of transportation connections that they are coordinating with our staff in order to try to make this area as viable as it can economically, so that it can be productive, not only just for trucking, but also for rail, as well as they described, bringing in those wider body jets to hopefully increase that opportunity for air freight opportunities. If I can. One of the other areas just outside of the West Valley area is also the Power District that we're working with, a partnership with Wasatch Front Regional Council, with Salt Lake City, with the Larry Miller Group, and UTA is the Power District. One of the challenges we have in Salt Lake County that some other locations don't have as big of a challenge is trying to retrofit some of these various transportation elements within the community. So how to with redevelopment, we're trying to work together to figure out how we can best utilize or maximize the use of the existing transportation system, to see if we can make it more user-friendly, not just to vehicles and rail, but to all users. That includes bikes, it includes additional pedestrian crossings, so that as these areas redevelop, they become more assets to the entire community, and not just those who may want to or need to interact with those areas. This is a study that is currently going on within that power district area, and we should have that study complete within the next several months. We're anticipating around a July-August timeframe to have some recommendations from that study. In addition, we're also working individually with the communities of West Valley, with Magna, with West Jordan, on their various active transportation elements, trying to make sure that we're having some of those additional connections incorporated into our existing transportation network. And with that, are there any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just make a comment. After the tour yesterday, it was amazing to see how dense and urbanized, the western part of the county is, just to see it visually. I looked up the numbers afterwards. Our state is 90% urban, and the urban population takes up only 1.1% of the state's land area. And then lastly, compared to other states, depending if you include DC, we're the 6th or 7th most urban state in the country. So pretty interesting. We congregate along these mountains.
And Mr. Chair,
Yes.
to Commissioner Gochner's point, our urbanization is increasing much faster than other areas, because only 5 years ago, we were number 8th in the country, then we were number 7th. This is the first I've heard we're now number 6 in this area. And part of it is, 65% of this state is owned by the federal government. And when you look at our geography, we have very little land. About 25% actually is available for the public to have businesses and to live in.
Any,
Presents a special challenge for transportation.
okay. Any other question? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Kendall. You heard both Kendall and Jeff and Natalie use the word challenge. UDOT dictionary defined challenge as an unrealized opportunity, so don't get scared. Any of the challenges, we have unrealized opportunities, and it will come your way. And at this time also, I would like to ask Mr. Johnson, take this information to your city and share with the neighboring communities. You can see 430 millions spent already, and there's more coming. So from your mouth to our ears, already done. Thank you. Next item of agenda is public comments. And at this time, I would like to invite those that would like to have opportunity to come and speak to us. Please introduce yourself. I see the councilman from Twila, our dear friend, Kendall Thomas. Come on back. Come on. Price is right.
Well, you took my line away. I was going to say, I'm representing a county that's, some people think is 300 miles away, but it's only 30. Oh my gosh. And so the other thing is, I'm excited to be here to hear the other people's challenges besides our challenge in Twila County, because we're lucky to be in a booming state in a great location. We all know that. And I heard today, Twila County is, for the last several years, has been the fastest growing county. And I heard today that Twila County, when the numbers are released, will be the #1 fastest growing county in the state when those numbers are released. And we just heard a great presentation about the west side of Salt Lake County, how it's growing, and they got challenges north and south. Well, we have challenges too, because that's our connect. Most of our population live in Twila County, live in Twila Valley. Over 80% work in Salt Lake County, Salt Lake, around the mountain. We have real struggle getting population in and out of and back home. And the other challenge we have is we have a Twilla Army Depot has a workforce that moves munitions. We have to move those munitions off the depot. So I'm here to say, thanks for all the work that you've done, you provided on Highway 36, the continual improvements, but I would like to focus real briefly on Mid-Valley Highway, the third phase. First phase, you guys got it done for us. Thank you very much. The third phase is where it comes off of Sheep Lane, which by Deseret Peak on the road going to Grantsville, little geography lesson. And then it goes up and it goes around on the east end of the depot and goes back out to Highway 36. It's a big problem because we have a wreck on Highway 36. It shuts everything down. So progress is we have a monthly meeting, the third, and we'd welcome you to join that. It's a short meeting. Commissioner Van Tassel has joined us in the past, and we welcome any of you to come and join it. It's on Zoom, and it's the last Monday at 8:30 in the meeting. We're usually done by 9. And so if we could get, I don't know who to get, send the link to all of you, but we'd love to have you sit in and just listen to the work we're doing. Working well with the depot. Everything is in the government's hands, the depot's hands. It's moved to the federal, and it's supposed to come back pretty quick. Quan Lee from UDOT has been wonderful to work with. Wasatch Front, I see Wayne here. Appreciate Wayne's support in Wasatch Front. So we're moving forward, and that's the excitement about it. And I know everybody wants money, but we want to get on that funding list for the third phase. So again, thank you for all you do. We appreciate it. And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to a city, county, any of us. And again, UDOT's been wonderful. So Carlos, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Chairman,
Yes, please.
can I make a comment about Kendall? Kendall, I live in a county that is 300 miles away. And it is
300 miles away.
It is the largest county in the state of Utah, and it is the poorest county in the state of Utah. 92% of our land mass is administered by the federal government. We have 8% private property. So I'm just trying to help you and Brad feel my pain.
Yeah, we do. And a real quick short story was Commissioner Adams was down in California to a NACO conference, weren't we? And I'm not used to traveling very much because my wife takes care of all those responsibilities, get us in and out of airports. Well, I'm down there, I say Sacramento, where was it by Red? Where were we at, Bruce?
At Tenaya in Yosemite.
In Yosemite. So I'm sitting in Yosemite in a motel and I don't have a way to get back to Salt Lake City, Utah. I got down there really good, but we got down there, Bruce and the other commissioner from Cache County, we all joined up. Anyhow, they brought me back and my wife thought, why didn't they just leave you there? Or you could have went shopping or something. Costco. Bruce, it's good to have you on the commission. Thank you. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments from the floor? Don't be shy. First 3 minutes is free. Anyone from online community? Seeing none, I'll move on to the next item, UDOT scoreboard. Just Josh Slayton and Troy Peterson will present that. Josh, you have a big shoes to fill. I hope you can do well.
Thank you for the good luck. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Josh Slayton for Project Development, standing in for Carmen. Big shoes. Give you a quick update on project delivery. You can see that the 297 plus the 50 plus the 8, we have over 350 projects in our pipeline. Seems like every time we get one off on past due list, another one comes on. So I think the last few times we've presented here, it's been 8. But that keeps us at our goal of 85%. Since July 1st, we've advertised 87 projects, approaching $1 billion. And that number, as you see here with the 50, is going to increase dramatically in the next 60 days. Hopefully something happens here. Okay, there we go. Over the last month, we've advertised 163 million on those projects. You can see quite a bit of stuff happening out on 191, some of our bigger projects. These are all just our hard bid projects. A little bit slow this morning. Okay. As expected, you can see January and February of 25, the number of projects is small, but we're just coming into our season. So the planning for March and April, a lot of bigger projects, also some alternative delivery projects will be ramping up at that time. So we'll be very busy here shortly. Just keep going. I think the next graph is just showing the number of projects we have. Again, kind of the same story. You can see at any given month, we have about 200 projects going. And then we always have this seasonal dip here in January, February, down to 135 active projects right now. But that number is going to come back up into the 200s and probably be higher than last year. Sure.
The question I have is, are we getting good numbers of bidding on each of these?
We are. The last graph we have, this engineer's estimate shows how the bids come in. Let me just move this slider a little bit so you can see recently. You can see the engineer's estimates are the ones in the blue or purple, and the contract amounts are in green. So we are consistently, the bids are coming in less than our estimate. So I think you asked me last time if we're seeing good bids or the number of bidders. Look that up. We've been averaging about 3.5 bidders on every project. So that's a strong number. Anything over 3, I think we're reasonably happy with. And then this is just showing the payments again. You always know that we're going to be low this time of year, but if you look year over year, you can see January to January to January, that number just continues to go up. So consistent with what we know about our program. It's as big as it's ever been and a lot of work out there. Any questions from me?
Josh, can you please go to the first chart? You had the engineer's estimate versus the contractor.
This one here?
Right at the beginning. Know the numbers. Go to the.
Let's see. You want this one?
Right there.
Yep.
From the corner of my eyes, I thought I saw the Vineyard project. They had a $4 million discrepancy between the estimate and cost.
Where is Vineyard Overpass 7 to 11?
And then, so why is that much of a difference?
Anyone from Region 3 care to take that?
The rest of the projects are all kind of very close, but that particular one is a $4 million discrepancy.
There's a local contribution that's going to be made to make up that difference. They added scope to that project.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm Rob Clayton. I'm the Region 3 Director.
Okay. Well, thank you. That makes sense. Okay.
Any other questions
from Josh? Thank you. Good job. Troy, you're up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Troy Peterson, Operations Director at UDOT. I'm going to talk to you about our zero fatalities strategic direction. First thing I'd point out is our fatality rate I'm going to talk a little bit about compare 24 and 25 since we're so early in the year here. 2024, we finished the year with a fatality rate currently at 0.78, which I think we've mentioned before is a great number for not only Utah, but obviously from a nation's perspective. I've reported in the past that I think the actual fatality rate across the country is about 1.2. And so we're looking really good. One of the higher or lower numbers in the, especially in the states that are surrounding us. One of the things that we've been experiencing this year so far is a downturn in the number of fatalities. And I'll touch on those in a moment, but you'll see our fatality rate at 0.43 for the year. Our VMT for this year so far is 3 billion vehicle miles traveled. And we finished out last year at 36 billion vehicle miles traveled. Looking at what I can see in terms of records, that's our highest number so far. Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure of any records prior to 2018. So if we had a spike before that, I'm unaware of that. So our VMT continues to climb. Next item I'll scroll down here just a moment and we'll talk about fatalities. We're currently sitting at 280 that finished out the year of 2024. I want to caution that number. We've reported that there are still a few crash records that we haven't received in terms of, we need to get to the death certificates on some of those. So that may come in with that may drive that number up a little bit or down. There's about 20 or so of those that we're still waiting to come in. But we're pretty confident we're going to be right around that number. For 2025, we're currently sitting at 13 fatalities for the year, which if you remember this orange line that we have in here is our reduction target. We use at 2.5%. We take 3 prior years, we average those and reduce that by 2.5%. And for where we are today, our goal, our target reduction is at 22, and you can see we're at 13, so we're about 40%, 41% below that target, which is, I would love that target to, or that trend to stay throughout the year. Let me scroll up. As part of that, let me step back on our vulnerable users. That's one item there's a new graph that we've got on here on vulnerable users. You can see that we're tracking. The orange is the motorcycles. Boy, I don't know what color that looks like on your screen. I'm going to say dark green is pedestrians and light green bicyclists. In 2024, we ended up with 53 motorcycle fatalities and 44 pedestrian and 7 bicyclists, which accounts for about 37% of our total fatalities on the year. You may have seen a report that was put out there on motorcycle deaths this last year. That 53 is a 15-year high on motorcycle fatalities. So yeah, obviously not a great trend from that vulnerable user category. This year we're sitting at 3 pedestrian fatalities in our vulnerable user group, which that's 23% of our total fatalities. Let's see. One thing I would like to mention. So I mentioned that we were at 13 fatalities for the year. Last year at this time, we were sitting at 22 fatalities at the beginning of last year. So like I mentioned, that trend, I hope we continue with that, seeing that lower rate of fatalities on our system. Moving along, our suspected serious crashes. Our suspected serious crashes for the year, we ended at 1,918. Yes, which was about 15% higher than our target reduction of, well, I can't read the number, 1,663. I won't report on 2025 because there is a little of a lag of getting the crash information in on these on total crashes and our suspected serious crashes for the year. We generally trend about 1 to 2 months behind in getting that. So there's really not any data to report on suspected serious traffic injuries and traffic crashes. I know we have some new individuals on the commission, and so maybe I just take a real quick second to define what suspected serious traffic injuries are. So when they talk about a suspected serious traffic injury, the police officer, when he's at the scene, there's a serious accident, he's making his best guess, saying this is a serious crash. Looks very, what's that? Very serious. And the only way we follow up on those ones if there's a fatality. So there's a time period where they would follow up to find out the severity in which that crash ended up. So that's where the classification suspected serious comes from. It's that initial thought process or analysis from the officer who's doing the investigation. Total crashes for 2024, over 61,000. Which is higher than our target reduction of 58,000. Let's see, anything else? That does it for my update. But I do always like to remind everyone about the 5 safe driving behaviors. So always wear a seatbelt, driving focused, calm, alert, and sober. Any questions?
Question, on the motorcycle deaths, do we have a breakdown of where those occur? Are they urban, rural? Do we separate that out?
We have that information. I don't have that with me today.
Okay. Because I'm just curious, in the summertime, we seem to have a lot in our rural areas.
Yeah, we had a spike from June through August on motorcycle fatalities. And I forget the exact number of that during that time period, but it was definitely contributed to that higher number through the year.
Okay, thank you.
Question, go ahead.
I'm new, so I'm asking lots of questions. I believe there's a bill in the legislature right now dealing with, I think most of us have had this experience where you're stopped and the motorcycle is riding on the yellow line between cars to get up in front of everybody. Are we participating in that, Carlos, in some form? Is that anything that we get involved in?
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. The role we take at the legislature is to provide information, data. And so this wasn't something we had asked for, that we're advocating for. So we're providing information. Mr. Chair, I don't know if it would kind of roll into this unless there's other questions from the commission for Troy. But Leif Elder, our policy director who spends his time at the legislature, is available to give a short update
Let's do that right
on
now.
what's going on and could address that there. But I don't want to get in front of any commissioners. who
No,
have
that's
questions
great.
on-
That's wonderful. Just a good time.
Okay.
Leif, you ready?
Any other questions for me? I'm good.
Before you get too comfortable, just come on down. Thank you,
Thank you.
Troy. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Leif Felder. I'm the Policy Director, Policy and Legislative Affairs Director at UDOT. This is a busy time and sometimes a fun time and sometimes a hard time, sometimes a silly time. There's been some just fun stuff out there to look at and digest. I want to just talk about just a few things, and if you have heard about some things and want to ask some questions about those things, happy to try to respond to that as well.
Leif, why don't you start with Commissioner Adams, the lane filtering bill?
Yeah, so the lane filtering bill, that's a Representative Norm Thurston is the sponsor of that. And that was in committee, talked about, I guess, last week. So it just passed out of the House, is moved on to the Senate. So the concept there, the way he's proposed that is that, hey, we want to increase safety for motorcycle riders. Currently in Utah, that we have a law on the books. It's not lane filtering, but or it is lane filtering, which is when traffic is stopped and at a signal, and that allows a motorcyclist to come up while the light's red to the front of the line. And when that light turns green, they're able to take off. This bill doesn't deal with the lane filtering, but deals with lane splitting. And lane splitting is when traffic is moving, allowing motorcycles to essentially go on the dotted line, on the striping, and to pass folks in between there. And so this bill would explicitly prohibit that. We didn't have a law on the books that allowed it, but this would explicitly prohibit it. So were there other questions that you had, Commissioner?
No, I don't know how they're ever going to enforce this, but those motorcycles can weave in and out of traffic. How would a patrolman ever catch up with them? But
I've heard the Highway Patrol express concerns about this, especially when traffic is a little bit slower and probably during rush hour. They'll see a lot of motorcyclists do this to kind of skip ahead traffic is going slower, but it's not stopped. It's not at an intersection, and they're going along. And if you can imagine, the law enforcement officer is pretty powerless to chase somebody in a traffic jam. And so, but yeah, there is that prohibition in the bill.
Okay.
Did anybody, and maybe we could probably take what you guys want to talk about it. Are there any other thoughts? I know there's a bill that Commissioner Gochner and I talked about a little bit yesterday, and maybe I'll just mention that one. So a bill that that tries to point state officials and those that are using population data to our Utah Population Committee estimates, rather than using the census estimates. And some of the thinking behind this, and Commissioner Gochner, certainly welcome your comments on this, is that those population committee estimates can tend to be more accurate because it's closer to the people, it's closer to the data they're considering, things maybe the Census Bureau isn't being considering. By the same token, you also have a Census Bureau that's far away from Utah, and it maybe has maybe there's a certain objectivity that comes from we don't care necessarily about a particular population here and there. And let me be clear that I believe the committee's very impartial. I don't want to, I'm not saying that, but they're far away. They have kind of maybe their strengths there, but the bill points to the Utah Population Committee data, which is used to do things like distribute the BNC road funds. So that's why I raised this one, but and this is being run by Representative Grisius, who lives in the Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs area, a very fast-growing area. And there's concern, I think that's been expressed, that maybe the census just isn't quite keeping up with the growth there in a timely fashion, like maybe the Utah Population Committee could be. So that's another bill. Any comments on that?
Just an important one to keep an eye on. When you change population numbers, you change distributions. Yeah. I'll leave it at that.
You may have heard about a vehicle traction bill that deals with our traction law. That's been important, of course, for the canyons, where we'll have signs with the flashing lights that says the traction law is in force. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. That bill just passed out of the House. For us, it's more of a clarification bill, but it failed before it passed out of the House first, and then was recalled for another vote, and they did pass it. But if you do hear about that bill, for us, it's basically trying to better describe what we're currently doing with regards to that traction law. I know, I'm sure Commissioner Menlove, you probably passed those signs on your way here through the canyon there. But anyway, there's also a bill to clarify corridor preservation funding from the Marta Dilray Fund. And of course, you guys deal with that issue and have a committee, an advisory committee on that. This makes a clarification that that funding can be used for transit corridors. And that would specifically be for fixed guideways, so bus rapid transit and tracks, and then also front runner. Probably the key there is front runner, since bus rapid transit and tracks are typically on established roads. But there could be an opportunity for corridor preservation there. But on the plan, the long range plan, we have an extension of front runner from Provo to Payson. And so there could be some opportunities to preserve some corridor for that project. And in fact, we were told to do that. And when we went to try to do that, our attorneys advised us that I'm not sure the law allows for that. And so this is clarification to make sure we can carry out that intention of the legislature to preserve those transit corridors. Let's see. There is a bill regarding funding, specifically the TIF, Transportation Investment Fund, which you guys prioritize projects from. And what this bill does is, so this is a Representative Val Peterson bill. It just barely came out, so not much movement on it yet. But what the bill does is currently, and I'm going to call it an earmark. Sometimes people get offended by that word, but I think that's what it is. It's an earmark of the sales tax that goes to the TIF. And currently, the total is 20.68% of the state sales tax that goes into the TIF. This would increase that to 27.68%. So that's a 7 percentage point increase. And the bill is actually revenue neutral because last year the legislature set aside an ongoing appropriation of $330 million through the budget process. And that $330 million is essentially the same as that percentage increase of the earmark. So it'll be revenue neutral. That $330 million would be a little more challenging as far as chipping away at it because the budget process just has a different process than changing the law where that earmark is located. So that is a transportation bill that I'm sure we'll update you on in March. So I don't have any other things that come to mind. I don't want to go on. I have a list of 65 bills I'm looking at, but I don't want to go too far. I think those are probably the most essential ones, but are there other items, and Carlos or Lisa, if you guys have ones that you think we should bring up, but that would be my update if.
Thank you.
Okay.
Carlos, do we also have someone to report on the annual report of our assets, the UDOT lane miles and all that you have so beautifully on the commission website? We have 2 commissioners and new commissioners that may need to know about.
Yeah, we were not prepared to do that.
Okay.
So I don't have anyone here. I would
Okay.
normally have Nathan Lee
Well-
present that, but it is all available on the website. And so if the commissioners afterwards, I could show you where you can find that information.
I encourage the new commissioners and all of us even to go to the website and look at it. It's beautiful, designed, and very informative to know what the UDOT has, the asset information, including Carlos's beautiful message for the year and a wonderful gentleman quarterly picture. that you want to look at? Thank you. Okay, item number 5 is consent agenda, and Ivan is coming to present that.
Morning, Commission, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Tessie.
Oh, thanks, Grant. Okay. All the way across the room. That's great. Item number 5 is our consent agenda. Included in the consent agenda packet are the minutes for the December 13th, 2025 Transportation Commission meeting and a list of projects. These projects included in the exhibit have either been awarded, they've been identified to have budget amounts that can be recovered, or in the closeout process and have funding available to remove and reprogram. So in our packet, we have the commission meeting minutes here, report on the February or the December 13th meeting, actions taken, and then we get down to our projects returning funding, just to award, budget recovery, and project closeout.
Do you see that beautiful $34 million there, savings?
A request today is a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item 6A.
Sorry,
Yes.
Evan. Mr. Chairman, who was our second on that? Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next item, moving to the programming item 6A-1. This is the I-84 over Weber River and UPRR Bridge Replacement Project. That's a funding addition from our structures program. The scope of this project is to replace 2 structures carrying I-84 eastbound and westbound over the Weber River and UPRR and Weber Canyon. These bridges were constructed in 1965 and have had multiple prior rehabilitations and have reached the end of their service life, necessitating replacement. Bids were opened on January 14th, and the low bid received was 107% of the engineer's estimate. This additional funding request is to maintain an appropriate construction contingency and proceed with the necessary replacement. So located here on our map, Weber Canyon on 84. The 2 structures that we're discussing. Some of the damage seen on the structures. And our request today is a motion to approve adding funds to the I-84 Weber River and UPRR Bridge Replacement Project as detailed.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments?
Mr.
Questions?
Chair,
Yes, go ahead, please.
I was looking forward to maybe just one summer where the Morgan up through Weber County would not have anything going on. But I really know these bridges, we need them, and so I guess I'm going to wait for a long time again as I go up there. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, good. With that comments, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-1 is approved.
Thank you. 6A-2, the I-80 milepost 53 to 55 pavement repairs. This is a new project in Region 2 from our Transportation Solutions program for $4 million. The scope of the I-80 milepost 53 to 55 pavement repair project is to remove and replace 4 inches of pavement. This section of roadway has seen early life cycle deterioration and between the asphalt layers, and is causing rutting issues. So located here on our map, I-80, west part of the state. Some of the pictures of the asphalt, we can see rutting, separation.
Our request today is a motion to approve adding the I-80 milepost 53 to 55 pavement repair project to the current STIP as detailed.
I'll make that motion, but I'd like you to go look at First South by the University of Utah as well.
Okay.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6A-2 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, 6A-3. This is the Tooele County Sound Wall Trail, SR 138 to Village Boulevard. This is a scope change and would end up a name change as well. There's no funding adjustment. The scope of the Tooele County Sound Wall Trail, SR 138 to Village Boulevard project is to build a trail from Village Boulevard to SR 138, which is Pole Canyon Road. During design, the project team is working with Stansbury Park on the trail alignment, and the preliminary estimates are showing the project is underfunded. To accommodate the funding and a proposed future alignment change, Stansbury Park has requested the trail end at Mill Pond Park, which is about 3/4 of a mile short of the original application. This will tie into Stansbury Park's master trail plan, shortening the distance, allows Stansbury Park to construct the trail within the current funding. So located here on our map around Stansbury Park, this blue line from Stansbury Park to here to Mill Pond Park Road will end the trail. This is the original scope included. Our request today is a motion to approve adjusting project limits to the Tooele County Sound Wall Trail, Village Boulevard to Mill Pond Park project as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6A-3 is approved.
Thank you. Next item, 6A-4, the bridge replacements at Rockport Reservoir is a funding increase from our structures program. The scope of this project is to replace one bridge on SR 32, built in 1955, and replace the beams and deck on the bridge on SR 302, which is built in 1939. The deck and superstructure replaced in 2009. Near Rockport Reservoir, both bridges are currently rated in poor condition. Several items have increased the engineer's estimate on this project scope. Additional funding is requested to address unanticipated utility conflicts, access concerns into the Rockport State Park during construction, raising the road profile 5 feet to accommodate a high water capacity needs, and changing the foundation type needed for the new bridge as well. So located here on our map on SR 32 and SR 302 near Rockport Reservoir. We have pictures of the two bridges that we're discussing. Some of the damage and corrosion that we've seen. And our request today is a motion to approve adding funding to the bridge replacements at Rockport Reservoir project as detailed.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor of this project, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6A-4 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A-5, this is Dutch John Road Improvement. This is a funding addition from local funds. The scope of this project is to rehabilitate about 3/4 of a mile portion of the Dutch John Road and provide various safety improvements. A recent engineer's estimate has determined that the original funding amount was not sufficient to perform the full project scope. The local is committed to provide additional funding and is requesting approval to increase the project value. So located here on our map in Dutch John, near Flaming Gorge. Additionally, as part of our packet, we have a letter from the town of Dutch John committing to that funding increase. And our request today is a motion to approve adding local funds to the Dutch John Road Improvement Project as detailed.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
This is a road inside Dutch John itself, right?
In the town.
Yes.
Is it the one that connects to go down to the little hole? Or you know
I do not know.
what it looks like?
Yes, Rob.
Good morning, Rob Clayton. I believe you're correct, Commissioner. This is a mill and overlay project that the town has funded itself and just needed a little bit of extra funding to do what they intended to do, and they added a little bit to it.
This is that main loop up around the back part of town.
Yeah.
Just goes, yes. For those of you who missed me yesterday, I was there in CIB to get this money appropriated for Dutch John and also number 7 that you're going to see in the agenda. So it's coming from CIB.
Thank
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-5 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A-6, is the I-15 Bridge Rehabilitation west of Levan. This is a funding addition and scope change from our Structures and Transportation Solutions program in Region 3. The scope of this project is to replace 2 bridges and repair 8 others to extend the life of I-15 west of Levan in Juab County. These bridges were all constructed in 1984. The project is 11.6 miles long, located between milepost 210 and 222. The project will also repair the associated wing walls, abutments, parapets, and outdated safety hardware to meet the current UDOT standards. The additional funding will be used to cover more extensive traffic control than was originally anticipated, including crossovers to be less impactful to I-15 traffic. The funding addition will also cover a scope change on 2 of the bridges from a rehabilitation scope to a replacement scope in order to facilitate the crossovers and provide more durable structures that require less overall maintenance. They're located here on our map showing the structures along I-15 west of Levan. And as well as pictures of the bridges themselves. And our request today is a motion to approve adding funding to the I-15 Bridge Rehabilitation west of Levan project as detailed.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I have a question. Maybe Becky can answer this. So we had a bridge over the Rockport Reservoir built 1955, and this one is 1984. What happens? That lasted this long, and this one is just going up. Any particular reason why this bridge is going so quick?
So this one was originally scoped out to just be a deck replacement on the bridge. And in order to widen out the bridge and give enough room to provide the crossovers and allow for traffic to maintain 2 lanes in each direction, we're replacing it with a smaller plate pipe structure. So the cost of replacement is just slightly higher than what the deck replacement would be. And it gives us a chance to have a lower maintenance structure in place. So it's not necessarily condition driven that we're doing this replacement. Okay. It's condition of the deck, but more to facilitate the MOT and also reduce future maintenance.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-6 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A-7, this is the Mighton Main Street. Also local funding being requested to add. The scope of this project is to rehabilitate the pavement on Mighton Main Street. A recent engineer's estimate determined that the original funding amount was not sufficient to perform the full project scope. The local is committed to provide additional funding and is requesting approval to increase the project value. The additional funding will allow the town to complete the entire project as originally scoped. So located here, town of Mighton on Main Street. Included in the packet is a letter from Mighton committing to the funding that they received through the CIB to add to this project. And a request today is a motion to approve adding local funds to the Mighton Main Street project as detailed.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comment, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-7 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A-8, located on US 189 Wallsburg to Charleston. This is a funding addition from our TIF program. The Utah Department of Transportation has completed a state environmental study and finalized a roadway design for US 189 improvements near Deer Creek Reservoir, spanning from Rainbow Bay to Charleston. The key enhancements planned for this project include widening US 189 to accommodate 2 travel lanes in each direction, implementing safety improvements for intersection and roadway curvature, significant hillside excavation to improve rockfall safety and maintainability, installing a traffic signal at US 189 and SR 113 intersection, improving the safety of the Island Beach day use area entrance, and incorporating wildlife protection measures. The initial project funding was intended as a provisional allocation for future construction, acknowledging that geotechnical work costs would remain uncertain and impractical to estimate until the environmental review was completed and the alignment finished and finalized. The project team has determined the additional funding is necessary to complete the planned improvements. This funding gap is preliminary attributed to several critical factors, including construction costs have risen significantly since the project's original funding in 2017. Additionally, as the design advanced, further safety measures were integrated, approximately $4 million, including intersection upgrades at the state park entrance, which is $5 million, and SR 13, $600,000, as well as roadway and wildlife protection enhancements of about $1.5 million, all of which have contributed to these increased costs. Moreover, the identification of slope stability issues during the design phase required slope treatment work, a little over $10 million, and the replacement of a bin wall, $500,000 to further escalating the project's overall expenses. So located here on our map near Deer Creek Reservoir, showing the project area. And then there are some graphics that include the current traffic cut, east and westbound traffic, overlooking the reservoir, and what the proposed traffic cut would look like separating the 2 directions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a question. You know, this is one of the, and I've spoke about this before, and I hate to be a broken record, but this is we have approved the initial phase. So we've already approved this once. Now we're coming back for additional funds to complete other aspects of this particular road. Why didn't we have all that information before we asked the first time and get it and hit it at least close? Because this is like a major addition, and I see, having some experience in this, I see sometimes we get something out there and get it. It's almost like phasing on a building or planning on a building, and then it kind of screws us into the next time. We have to do the rest of this building, even though we might have known it was going to include this in the previous estimation. I'm concerned that sometimes we have to look at it to make sure that's not what's happening here. And this one just confuses me a little bit on what we're doing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I respond?
Please.
Because Commissioner D brings up a great point. But this is the way it works, unfortunately. We don't understand the project until we do the engineering and the environmental. And so we went into this fully knowing it was going to take more money, but we didn't have any idea how much money. And at the time, we only had so much money to allocate to this project. And so this was definitely a placeholder, which we informed the commission of at the time. Doing the engineering and the environmental work takes millions of dollars. And it does. And so we never really know what that number is. So what we try to do when we go into a project, and you're going to see some more significant requests here in the next several months for increases to projects that have, one, been due to inflation, but a lot of it to do is during the environmental process and the engineering process, we start to hone in on what the right scope should be. Now, the commission certainly has the prerogative to say, no, hold to that dollar value. We will then go back and rescope the project, shorten that project up, change the configuration, and then come back to you for approval of whatever that scope would be. And that's within the commission's prerogative to do that. And so we're presenting here today an alternative, an option for you, but we could certainly take the other path and say, hold that fixed cost, and you come back, department, with what that project and what we can do for that money. So that is always available to the commission.
Okay, that alleviates some of my confusion on that, because I can see we've done this in other things. Even the short time I've been here, I know we've done this, but every time we do this, I have a little question on.
Yeah. And if you look at the agenda, I haven't done the math, but probably 70, 80% of the items are not new items. They're adjustments to ongoing projects. And I'd like to say most of the project, that the projects we're asking to remove money, we're not. We're usually asking to increase money.
Yeah, this is a fairly good amount. That's why I'm a little confused about that. Okay, thank you.
Another question. So just to confirm, this is now going to finally get 4 lanes all the way through there from start to finish, right? So it goes through to where the 4 lanes are just past Charleston, right? And there'll be 4. That's a major thing to have to do that separation up on that hill and go through there. So
I'm a couple months short of 39 years here. We started at the bottom of Provo Canyon at the beginning of my career.
Yeah. The engineering must have proved to be more economical to go up over the top rather than cut all that rock and move it and keep it that grade.
Absolutely. And then we spent quite a bit of time working with state parks on the access to Deer Creek here. It is the day use has increased significantly through this area.
It's a busy campground.
It's a busy
recreation.
yeah. So trying to find a way to deliver a safe entrance, exit and entrance because they're looking at options of actually increasing the state park on the other side of the road as well. And so we needed to preserve that option.
I won't say what I was thinking.
I wish I had that discipline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So on that, here was some of the project map showing the wildlife access, the increase or the proposed change to the island beach day use area. And our request today is a motion to approve adding funds to the US 189 Wallsburg to Charleston project as detailed.
So moved.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6A-8 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A-9, this is a new project in Green River from our Transportation Alternatives Program in Region 4. This project will install sidewalk and curb and gutter on the north and south sides of Tidwell Street. This project will provide a safe route for pedestrians and tie into existing sidewalks in the area. So located here in the map in Green River, and then we have a zoom in section, Tidwell Street. There's new sidewalk going in with the development. You can see where there's current sidewalk already installed at the corner, and then the sidewalks to be installed, shown in red here. Our request today is a motion to approve the Green River Tidwell Street Sidewalk Tap Project as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
It's a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6A-9 is approved.
Item 6A-10 is a funding addition from our Transportation Investment Fund on the Northern Corridor in Washington County. Recent decisions by federal government agencies, the BLM and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, to stop the Northern Corridor project from moving forward. Legal representation and additional engineering expertise are needed to pursue reissuance of the UDOT road right-of-way alignment for the Northern Corridor. The additional funding will be used to cover expenses incurred by legal counsel, design, environmental work, and potential public involvement. Our request today is a motion to approve adding funding to the Northern Corridor Washington County project as detailed.
So moved.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
second. You bet.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, clarifications? Folks, if we don't get this Northern Corridor in Washington County, you're not going to be able to access your second homes. So it is so congested. Boulevard can accommodate 100 South. Tabernacle that they propose and the BLM proposal is not going to solve the problem. So we need this blessing in Washington County. With that, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-10 is approved.
6A11, the SR 14 milepost 12.5 to 17.2 overlay is a funding addition and scope change. The scope of the SR 14, this is from the Transportation Solutions Program in Region 4. The scope of the SR 14 milepost 12.5 to 17.2 overlay project is to rehabilitate roadway by doing an 1.5 inch asphalt overlay. The project also includes improving the safety of the facility by upgrading several sections of existing guardrail and adding several new runs of guardrail to the Canyon project. A box culvert measuring 16 feet wide by 7 feet high that has a substantial deterioration on the outlet end has been identified as a critical element needing to be addressed on this section of roadway. There's a minimum shoulder width on SR 14 over the box culvert. So the UDOT project teams recommends extending the box culvert 4 feet to allow for a 4-foot shoulder across the box culvert and replacing the head wall, wing walls, and cutoff walls, and also provide a scour protection to prevent future erosion. So located here on our map is our picture of the box culvert. You can see from the next picture how close the shoulder is, as well as the damage that we see. Our request today is a motion to approve the SR 14 milepost 12.5 to 17.2 overlay funding addition and scope changes detailed.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. So motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-11 is approved.
Thank you. 6A12, SR 18 St. George Boulevard to Main Street, and SR 34 funding addition and scope change coming from our Transportation Investment Fund as well as some St. George City. The scope of the SR 18 St. George Boulevard to Main Street and SR 34 project includes widening to a 7-lane section from Tabernacle to 100 South and an asphalt rehabilitation of the 5-lane section from 100 South to Main Street with several new right turn and dual left turn pockets at key intersections. The project includes a new storm drainage system, soil nail walls, retaining walls, and access control elements. Traffic modeling shows a 7-lane facility is needed from 100 South to Main Street around the year 2040. The region recommends the full build out width on the west side of the highway to accommodate the 2040 projected 7-lane need. The estimated increased cost for the widening is $3.25 million. The project cost savings by performing this work with the current project is estimated at about $8 million. St. George City requested the UDOT includes a separated multi-use path on the west side of the highway, which aligns to the city's trail master plan. Including this path in the project scope at this stage also eliminates future reworks. St. George City has committed to pay 50% of the additional $3.55 million to construct that path. So located here on our map, located here, where the area, another picture of the area to be worked. Our request today is a motion to approve the SR 18 St. George Boulevard to Main Street funding addition and scope change as detailed.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'd second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comment? Questions? Do we have any of them from the Region 4? Do you have any comments, any additions, any new information? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the city is cooperating to do some bike paths on that region area, so.
I just want to emphasize 7-lane in St. George.
Yeah. Indeed, it's growing. So all in favor of this project, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item 6A-12 is approved. Thank you.
Also attached is the letter from St. George City committing to their portion of the funding. Our next item, 6A-13, is an informational only item of Riverfront Parkway, 110 south to 11400 south is a widening project for Wasatch Front Regional Council and the local government. This is a local government project with South Jordan City. The scope of the project is to widen the roadway to 2 lanes each direction and add on-street parking. This project cost increase is a result of having to replace additional concrete panels to tie into 114 South, replacing a mast arm for the signal, additional right-of-way, and construction cost increases based on the final configuration. The Wasatch Front Regional Technical Advisory Council approved this tip modification in their January 15, 2025 meeting. So located here on our map, and there's no motion requested on this item. Next item is project combinations. We have 2 projects in Region 4, or 2 project combinations in Region 4 and 1 project combination in Region 2. These individual projects have previously been approved through commission action. Project combinations are done to provide efficiencies in project delivery, and no action required. And then we have item 6B that we're going to move to.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Andrea Olson, the Planning Director at UDOT. This agenda item is to finalize the input lists for transit and for highway for the capacity project prioritization process. As a reminder, on an annual basis, we go through and we add any eligible projects that have been amended by any planning entity that they've amended into phase 1 of their respective plans. We add those to the input list for transit and for highway. But as a part of that process, the commission has the ability to add any projects that have been identified as a phase 1 need. We had a great discussion yesterday at staff update. The discussion centered around 3 transit projects to be added, and then 4 highway projects to be added. And then since then, I've become aware of another project that Commissioner Menlove would like to add to the list. I don't know, Commissioner, if you want to say anything. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it is detailed in the fact sheet. So,
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. We've been discussing I-15, adding additional capacity lanes to Tremonton. And according to the data that are available, this is the most heavily traveled truck traffic area along the Wasatch Front between, up to the I-84 exchange there in Tremonton. And we had gotten a piece of that last year, and we just would like to finish that from Honeyville to Tremonton. So this is the item. And I appreciate you being open to this. This will just complete that. We just kind of missed it. So
absolutely. So yeah, that piece of I-15 is included in this list under number 5 under the highway.
I see it. I see it there, Andrea.
So the motion today would be to approve the input list for TIF highway and for TTIF transit ranked lists as presented.
And once again, to confirm, this is for prioritization of all these lists. I'm not saying money will go there, but it's to prioritize and see
Exactly.
where they all fall together.
Right. Yep. They will be ranked and scored. We anticipate having updated versions of those lists for the programming workshop in March.
Right, you want a motion? I move for approval because
Okay.
we've all looked, we've seen, it's been out there. We all think these are good things to include in the prioritizations from the commission. So I move for approval.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6B is approved.
Thank you.
Item 7 is a state infrastructure bank loan. As you can see that Ivan is coming back to present that for Provo City.
Thank you. Item 7 is the Provo Airport State Infrastructure Bank Loan application. It was discussed a little bit yesterday in our meeting. We do have a presentation from the airport as well that we can show. I'll just start. Provo City is requesting a state infrastructure bank loan or a SIB loan in the amount of $14.5 million to accelerate the construction of the airport expansion project. The loan is requested for a 5-year term using the 5-year AAA GO bond rate as of December 11th when they applied in 2024 at 2.58 and a term additive of 0.5 as per the SIB guidelines results in the interest rate of 3.08. The amortization chart is attached. The current project value is $138 million. Provo Airport currently has $127.3 million of funding committed. Mountain Land Association of Government has committed $16.5 million of funding available in 2028. Provo requests funds from the SIB to begin construction early and will repay the SIB with the proceeds from the MAG funding. So included in our packet, we have our current balance of $19.2 million. We have one project, one application listed pending, 14.5, leaving a balance of 4.7 million. We did receive recently a second application from Saratoga Springs. They're asking for 11 million. We coordinated with them early in January, telling them that we had an application pending with basically $4.8 million of proceeds available. Speaking with them yesterday, they anticipated that if this was approved, they still just wanted to put their full application amount in for the 11 million and would either take the 4.8 million that's available or 4.7 million that's available and then apply for future amounts as it would become available. Our repayment schedule on the SIB, we have approximately 5 million of repayment coming in the balance of this state fiscal year, and then another 6 million by the end of the calendar year, with the vast majority coming that in December. So
Will you say that one more time? That was quick.
so our repayment schedule for this calendar year, we have about 5 million of repayment money coming into the SIB by the end of June. And then from July to December, we have about another $6 million anticipated payments.
I thought about this a lot after the conversation yesterday. Is there a way for someone at UDOT to just give us a sense over the last 5 years or so when appropriations have been made to this fund, the size of them?
When you say appropriations.
My understanding is there's repayments.
The capital
But
is.
my,
or
but my
the
understanding is the
capitalization.
legislature occasionally puts money in there, recapitalizes it. And I just wanted to understand that because the issue is that 14.5 is a big number.
It's not a regular pace while he's hunting for the information. It's a fairly random event, usually triggered by
A project.
so an interest, an outside interest to try to do something. So
For me, the
It's-
thing
I've
that's
never
hard
seen-
about this one is not understanding the history better. You know, you're just hit with it and we're just trying to figure out, is this a big deal or is this not a big deal?
So this is available on the UDOT webpage. This is the same page that I just shared with you showing the balance in the application. Included on here is the SIB fund. You see where the fund was capitalized, and then the current balance.
I mean, go back to that capital. Right there.
Showing when additional money came into the SIB. But then also on this same tab, as we scroll down, we'll be able to see what active loans that we currently have out there, the years that are requested on the term, what the rate was, and the requested amount. And then completed loans below that.
To my fellow commissioner, does that give you any more
Well,
comfort?
Yeah. Excuse me. What it does is I didn't know I was going to prophesize this so quickly. I thought maybe next year this would come to be, but the next day it comes to be that now you have another application in the line that's for 11 million. And we have 4, 5. So now we're not only, but they're willing to put 11 in there and then take our 4. And now we've got other projects that are still in the pipeline. So we're queuing to the pipeline of those loans, even before we have applications to take the loans, which is what I was worried about yesterday. We don't have enough money. If we start queuing, how much work is that going to be to queue these loans? They're going to stack up on the outside of the loan application process, which is totally not what this was designed for. And I've looked at that. So here you have it. And I know there's others out there saying, hey, we'd like to maybe take a loan at this particular percentage. Who wouldn't? And for 5 or 15 years. But now, one day later, I understand that you're overspent by, if they took 4 and they're asking 11, then they're overspent by another 7. We've got to do something to fix this, or we've got to redo it somehow. Because I would think that queuing outside of the application process would be chaos when you start this. So I just, having watched this happen in a different configuration, in a different world called the legislature, I think this is going to come back and bite you on this type of, you're starting to queue outside the application process with no funds to be able to fill that. Just my comment.
We did see, if you look at some of the older loans since the beginning of 2011, 2006, 2008, they were smaller loan request amounts versus what we've seen in the last 5 years, where you can see they're substantially higher loan requests. The commission has not put a cap, and there's no cap in the regulations for that.
So currently, the policy that we're following might not be the policy, but the thing is, we take the applications as they come in. If we have the money, we bring them forward for presenting. We don't have the money, they need to wait or redo their application. So if we have, and I just looked through here and I see, is it Escalante? They had a $300,000 deal. Some of these $300,000 to a Provo is maybe not anything, but to Escalante, that's a big amount. And I don't know how I think that we ought to have it come, and if the one can't, well, then we go down and pick up some of these smaller ones. I don't know how to write this where it's totally fair. And I understand what you're saying, because we've seen it up at the legislature where we'll give them study money, we'll give them planning money, and all of a sudden they come in next year, well, we've done our planning, we're now ready for a building. And, and I think that, I believe the intent of this was to help with the purposes that's there. And I just think that as people become aware, they'll just need to know, and they need to check our website and see what money they have, what's available, and structure their application to it. We encourage everybody to do the same. And that doesn't solve the problem, but I don't know how else to do it.
Go ahead, please, Carlos.
And I don't want to interrupt Commissioner D here. I was going to say, 2 things. Our past practice has truly been, if they came in and asked for it, and if we had the money, we would put it out. We always worried that we'd be in a situation like we find ourselves now, but it really has never happened. The other thing I would add, Mr. Chairman, is we have 2 members here from the Provo Airport, and I don't know if that would help, because the commissioners are raising a thorny issue here. If we wanted to allow the folks from Provo to be able to present their need, perhaps.
I would like to hear from them, yes. That was my next question that we can. So, Mr. Penrod, if you're available, come forward, please.
Maybe while they're presenting, you can come up with some great policy that will solve this for us.
Yeah, just introduce yourself, please, and tell us about the projects and why you're asking this much money.
Great. Morning, Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us, Mr. Chair, as well. I'm Jared Penrod. I work in engineering and planning at the Provo Airport.
And I'm Matt Jensen. I'm the Airport Operations Manager down at Provo Airport.
So we'd like to give the commission some background on the ask, on what's happening at Provo, and the reason why we're here today. So first of all, I'd just like to say, for those maybe not privy to the information, but we opened a new passenger terminal in July of 2022. So prior to this date, we were operating out of a one-gate terminal in the middle of the airfield. This new terminal has 4 passenger gates and has allowed a lot of growth to happen at the airport. So this facility was designed to accommodate 4 aircraft on the apron. You can see in this picture, this was the first winter after opening. We have 6 aircraft parked there. Since this picture was taken, we've actually announced service from American Airlines, and we'll have an additional 1 or 2 aircraft parked overnight, every night, out here in front of the terminal, in addition to 2 more aircraft on the airfield that are parked farther away from the terminal, just because we're out of space at the terminal site. You'll see here, right now we have approximately 775 monthly commercial flights in and out of the airport. And I'd like to spend just a little bit of time on this slide so you can see our annual enplanement. So an enplanement is a passenger getting on a plane in Provo. So roughly double that would be our passenger throughput each year. So prior to our terminal opening, we were hovering around that 100,000 enplanement mark. Since the terminal opened, and I guess this graph probably explains it better than the numbers themselves, but this blue line is our actual enplanement number. The background to that line is the FAA forecast and master plan of what we expected to see at the terminal, is this green line. So we hit our projections within the first 2 years of opening, and we're roughly 12 years ahead of schedule there. So really just seeing explosive growth and demand to travel out of Provo. Also, we've taken a look at the economic impact of what these flights and what this commercial service is doing for the area in general. I'm not going to dive too much into this, but you can see kind of these big numbers at the end. Over $200 million in annual economic impact generated by these commercial flights, and just shy of $3 million in tax impact that we're seeing from a direct result of this commercial service. So with that, we're looking at expanding the facility. The first part of this expansion will be to increase the size of our apron. So right now, this is the current apron size. This is our current terminal building. So we'd be looking to pave all of this and all of this, so roughly triple the size of our apron. And in addition to that, add more passenger gates to get to a total of 10 passenger gates and opportunity for 10 aircraft as well. And an expansion rendering. And it was mentioned previously, we've got a large chunk of money in place. Our struggle right now is a lot of this money is available at different times, which is why we're coming to the commission for the loan. We'd like to accelerate the construction of that apron as soon as possible, which is what the loan would allow us to do, is to actually get started on that this summer and have pavement in place by this winter. Let's see, just one more figure here. So I mentioned that this apron would be the ask for this project. This has already been surcharged. The dirt work has already taken place last year. So this project is ready to immediately strip that surcharge away and begin paving. So that would be the use for the loan. Any questions?
Go ahead, please, Carlos.
Sorry this will be putting you on a spot a little. Can you go back up a couple slides there
Yeah.
where you showed your cash right there?
Yeah.
So you're going to try to get paving done this summer.
Correct.
You've got funding coming from various sources.
Correct.
I'm just trying to give the commission some options here. Can you cash flow the need for the 14.5? And you take half the 14.5 this year and the other 14.5 next year. I know that puts you on the spot. So I'm just looking, do you need it all this year?
All is better. We will find, we will take whatever we can get. And we're committed to making this project work. So if the commission feels that they can only appropriate some of the money, we understand that. We don't want to, we will do what we can.
You don't have to bid against yourself here.
My question is that, follow up to Carlos, do you have any other sources that you can approach? Any other lending institutions, Zion Public Finance, or anybody from the state agencies that can give you the part of this money rather than all from the SIP loan?
Yeah, we are exploring other options as well. And whether that is our own internal utility loans from Provo City themselves, or yeah, there are some other options that we're looking at.
The favorable interest rate, I hope?
Not as favorable, no.
Well, our challenge is that we try to make some money available for other entities like yourself to come before commission. Because if you borrow all the 14 million and you're going to leave us with the 4 million, that doesn't do that much anymore. Used to be able to do project for $500,000, but now anything you touch is $1 million and $2 million.
Right, right.
So we don't want to be left short-handed. Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, please.
I certainly don't want you to think that I'm not pro Provo on this particular project, because I am. This is a good project, and you've probably done your homework, which it seems that you have. The solution you just mentioned is one that I was going to mention. Is certainly you have fund balances in other areas that you could craft the legislation or the commitments in your own city to borrow from and to pay back when other proceeds become available. There's a lot of, you can put all of these things, a lot of things together. I'm not concerned about that, nor am I concerned about your project and how good it would be and the benefit will be economically and just for the Utah County area and the growth. I'm supportive of it. What I'm a little concerned with is what we're going to do with that. And I'd love to see, you've put in for the entire amount and you're asking for how much again? 14?
14 and a half. Yeah.
$14.5 million. As a commissioner, I feel like I should, under the present rules and under your proposal, I would vote yes on that. But that doesn't help us on the other end. And so that's where my demarcation is I will vote yes on this today if you want to keep it to 14. I'm not going to ask you to go find somewhere else other than I think I could help you find some other things inside your own city. But I am concerned, and I want my fellow commissioners to know that we've got to make a change, because you're going to be down by 9 million if you approve this project we heard about today. How do you go down in a deficit of 9 million in a loan fund? You don't. You just give them 4 million and you tell them to come back for the other 7. The same comment you just made is give us as much as you can and we'll come back. That's not a good loan process. So we've got to change on our end. And the reason I raised that yesterday and I do again today is we're walking down a path we will have to retreat from soon. So we better change our philosophy, change our infusion, change something that we don't start queuing outside the application process, or we'll never be done with this. So if you wanted to, if we want to move forward with your proposal today, I'll vote yes, because you were in before we started this process. You were in before I had these concerns, and you're ready to proceed. So it's not something I have against Provo.
There's a question.
Carlos,
Go
what
ahead.
is the procedure if the commission would support a lower amount?
You could make that motion.
We can do whatever we want.
Just making sure.
Yeah, the commission can make
I-
any.
I absolutely see the need for this. This would be a high priority for me. What we're bothered about is the underlying sort of process or reality that we're facing with that fund. And is there a way to give us one more month and have the numbers crunched at a different number to see if we can feel like the fund is more secure?
You can actually, let me ask, go ahead.
Well, to respond to Commissioner Gochner's request, I think, you could make the motion to whatever number today and move forward. Or if you wanted maybe the Provo Airport to do a little bit of looking at this and say, if you're not going to get 14.5 and we want to keep your project and get your paving done this season, what's the bare amount you could use this year and maybe push the remainder into next year and come back? Because our next commission meeting is the end of March. So I think we're 5 weeks out. I'm guessing,
With your point being that it'd be great to get them money as soon as you can so that they have the pavement for this season.
would that address what you're trying to get to?
It does for me.
I was just following the same thing. The commission can make decision today, either put them on the pending list, or you can do the table it for the further discussions in the future meetings until they crunch the numbers and come up with say, okay, we just change to have a scope, maybe resize it, maybe put in the phase 1, 2, 3 to make it 5, another 5 if you want. Because you can see there's a concern.
Right.
And we would love to help you. It's a great project. Your community needs it. The state of Utah needs it. But at the same time, we are responsible to face the public. Public money needs to be spent wisely. So commission can say, table this at this time, put them in the pending.
And I'll speak to this
Go
another
ahead,
side.
please.
I live in Orem, not Provo, so I'm not a Provo person, but I agree with what Natalie said yesterday, the impact on Salt Lake. Now this helps more and more airplanes in there to offset people having to go up to Salt Lake Airport in Utah County and beyond is a great thing. And I think they've come to some good faith effort with, this is what you've done for everyone up to this point. And do we now stop because they followed that, or do we say we need to rethink the process going forward? And we have a couple of options there. And I'm not so much why I vote on whatever, but that's one comment I'd say. They've come to us. This is how other people applied. What will this do if we postpone it a month or 2 months as far as you're getting the pavement in during the cycle? Will you still be able to get that in? I mean, that's a question I have.
We'll need to take a hard look at it to know for sure. I mean, our hope and intent was to put this project out to bid in the next couple of weeks, to open bids and begin construction in April. This could very well delay that process if we can't secure the rest of the funding. It's something that we'd have to look in, and I don't have an answer for the commission right now on that.
If we were to approve a lesser amount today, you'd have enough to start the project?
Sure. Yes, we likely would not have enough to finish the project, and it may necessitate breaking the project in two, which would push at least half of the paving until next year. But as I mentioned earlier, I mean, we're going to push, and we're trying to find a way to build all we can this year, because as you could see in the picture, the need is just so great. It's already there. And we really do feel like as soon as we can build it, we will, be able to add flights and add, additional service. So.
Better answer.
Yes, go
Thank you.
I guess, Carlos, I don't know who can answer this. Is there 14 million available in the, we're not pre-spending, there's 14 million available right now?
Can I was just talking to Ivan about Saratoga Springs. So we just found out we have another application in. And that other application is for $11 million. And so if the commission were to approve this full amount, you have 4.7 left. And if you remember what Ivan said, before the end of June, you're going to get another 5 million. Saratoga Springs doesn't need their money until July. So I think we could, if the commission wanted, you could probably satisfy both requests at this point. I don't know if that helps or not, but then you're playing with a very low balance.
Might as well be out working.
It's putting money to work.
I try a motion, and then if it doesn't pass, we'll try the next motion. I move a motion that we approve this request as before us so they can get it done. And then we just rethink, what's our process going forward on prioritizing how we do it. Right now, we have a process we've been following. And I think we can get both, because what you just said with the 4 and the 6 coming in over the year, not only how much so total this year by the end of the year, how much did you say?
There'll be another 11 million, I think, before.
We'll
Ivan,
receive
hold
another
on, hold on.
Thank you. We'll receive another 11 million by the end of this calendar year, with basically 5 coming before the end of June, the balance coming, the bulk of it's coming in December, but we would have another 2 million, I think, before the 1st of October to be able to fulfill that full 11 million request.
So that's my motion. I might not have a second, but at least I made a motion.
Okay, there's a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. There's a motion, a second. For this, you have any more questions, comments?
I have one comment, okay? And I'm sure you'd wish I wouldn't, but anyway.
Is that a substitute motion?
No, it's not a substitute motion. I think this is the way we should go.
Okay.
Because I still have a lot of questions, but you came in deliberately, the way you should, through the application process, and you hit this where some of us have questions. I think we should approve it. I think we should let you move ahead with your Tarmacs, whatever you want to do with the loan, and then we have to address it at our next meeting. But that's our concern, not yours. I think you've been pretty faithful about coming forward and putting this to us. Let's decide this at our next meeting, what we're going to do with the future project. But I'm in support of this now.
Okay. With this, I'm going to do the roll call, just make sure we covered all the bases. So I'm going to start my left, Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Menlo,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
Commissioner Van
Yes.
Tassel, Commissioner D,
Yes.
and I am yes. Passes unanimously. Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks for the details too. That helped.
It meant a lot, by the way, that Provo City was here today.
Yes.
For this,
Details
Provo
helped a
Airport
lot
was
to
here today.
understand what they needed it for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. I have nothing else to say.
well, thank you, Ivan. You did good. Good job. Item number 8 is administrative rule review. As usual, we have our friend Leif Elder is going to come and teach us what changes on the disposition of the surplus land. Leif, you're up.
There we go. I recognize that. Okay. Leif Felder with UDOT, Director of Policy and Legislative Affairs. This is another rule, so just to set the stage, this is a department rule. So looking for your review, any comments you have. The background here is pretty good. I'm just going to read that. Section R907-80-5 provides a procedure for giving notice to the relevant local government before selling surplus property at an auction. The proposed changes would establish a more defined process for cities and counties to express an interest in a property
and eventually purchase it from UDOT. The current process does not provide clear deadlines or require any sort of tangible commitment, which has led to properties remaining in limbo for years. The proposed changes set forth the following process, and I can move that up, it looks like. That's good. UDOT provides notice that the property will be sold. So as you know, we have kind of an auction system. So we'd kind of notify, hey, we're interested in selling this property on our auction. Then the local government has 60 days to enter into a purchase agreement with UDOT if they express an interest. At that time, they would provide a 3% refundable earnest money and then agree to complete purchase within 180 days. A local government may extend the purchase agreement for an additional 180 days. That's a one-time extension, but at that time they would need to provide some additional earnest money. And then if the local government does not purchase the property, UDOT may sell it at public auction. So that could be either we send out the notice that we're planning on selling it and we don't get a response from them. Or if during the process of trying to figure out a purchase agreement, they change their mind or are unable to purchase that property within roughly that year's time, we could then go ahead and sell it. So that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Does that, as I'm reading this, they pay 3%, which is refundable.
Correct.
Then if they need to do an extension, they pay 5%. Is that 5 additional on top of the 3?
That's 5 additional on top of the 3, and that would be non-refundable. They need to kind of give us an indication that, yeah, we're really interested. So,
But the 5% is non-refundable or just at 8%?
yeah, of the 8% total, if you're doing an extension, that's correct.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Having sit on the Joint Highway Committee for many years, I know that anytime a rule change came from UDOT to that committee, there was usually robust discussion. And now that Brian Bremner is no longer there, the discussion is not quite as robust. But did you get any input from Joint Highway Committee on this rule change?
That's a great question, Commissioner. We did not send this specifically to the Joint Highway Commission, but we sent this out to the League of Cities and Towns as well as the Utah Association of Counties. And they may have passed that along to the Joint Highway Committee, but we did not receive any comments back from them on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other question? Good job. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Okay.
No, that's all.
Item number 9 in the agenda is information item, and that is committee and commission reports. So I'm going to go to my right. Commissioner Lee, you have any reports for your assignment?
Going this way?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. When you looked at me, I thought, oh, I better say something here. Yeah, I had the opportunity to work with the Wasatch Front Regional Council. They've changed their leadership a little bit. It remains the same, but they've established the leadership going forward. I think Natalie and I have also listened a little bit about the Power District Transportation Study, which deals with the new Fair Park and also the new Major League Baseball. They're doing some studies on that, and they anticipate the studies on some recommendations, not only to other organizations, but to Utah, will be done by the middle of this year. So that's where we're at with that.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Tassel.
Following a lot of information on the Heber Bypass Road, as well as attending and listening in on the Twilla County, the Mid Valley Road. Other than that, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Evans?
Had a HTRZ meeting, our first one of the year, regarding the big area in Salt Lake City, behind the gateway and all that. And had a great discussion and we postponed the decision on that to get some additional information, which they're getting to us. So next meeting, I can probably report more, but that's in process. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Cogner.
Yeah, Nagi, I'll just mention that the Wasatch Front Regional Council updated their council and committee membership. Mayor Don Ramsey is still going to serve as chair, and the Davis County Commissioner Bob Stevenson is the vice chair.
Okay, thank you. For your people, if you want to see Commissioner Cogner in just a casual attire and would like to have to pick her brain, the best place to meet her is in Temple Square. But you have to be keen to find out because her attires are different than which is here today. And she usually carries their grandson Jethro, handsome fellow. So
I will have a stroller with me, is what he's saying.
it was a great opportunity, just like, wow, hello. So thank you. Commissioner Menlove.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended the Cache Metropolitan Planning Organization's meeting this month, and we had a great discussion, and things are moving ahead in Cache Valley. They're facing some very challenging population growth and transportation issues, and we followed that up the next few days later with a safety meeting where we saw an increase in speeds in Cache Valley and accidents and even fatalities. So this is something that they're grappling with as they grow and try to accommodate growing population. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams, any kind of reports?
Well, having been appointed to this position, I've been receiving a number of constituent calls advising me what I need to do on the commission, dealing with them the best I can. I do want to take a personal privilege for just 1 second.
Please do.
My dear friend, and some of you know him, Lynn Stevens, General Stevens, who served as public lands coordinating policy office for the state of Utah, passed away on Wednesday of this last week. He had a fairly long battle with cancer, and his funeral will be a week from tomorrow there in Blanding. But he was a great servant to San Juan County, to the state of Utah, as well as to our armed forces. He was a general in the Army, and some of you know him, some of you don't. If you know him, you'll never forget him.
Yep.
Just to kind of let you know.
Well, convey our condolences to the family, please, if we don't make it there. Thank you. I also had the opportunity yesterday to meet at the CIB meeting of the committee. We had 11 projects, 10 of them passed, including 2 roadways projects, and 1 got declined because of lack of funds. This was unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And also for the DTEC committee, they reported about the reprogramming, a program recommendation for 2025 to 2029. And including that, Chris Chestnut came and talked about the TTIP opportunities for the local communities so they can participate. It was a really wholesome discussion on that, and they were excited. With that, that's all the committee reports we have. Carlos, anything from your department? AASHTO reports, any PC reports?
No, Mr. Chairman. We've asked a lot of you over the last couple of days and just appreciate the work you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa? And I know Ben is in St. George, Utah, sunny St. George, enjoying his with the family. They have some sports, I guess, tournaments. From regions, anyone would like to report anything that we did not discuss? Anyone else? Wow, everybody's ready to go to enjoy the holiday, huh? Well, thank you. Thank you again for your support. Thank you for being patient with the commission. Thank you for doing for the state of Utah, saving lives. So go enjoy your weekend. Thank you. With that, motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Not debatable. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.